Good morning and welcome to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM WBISLP. And want to just say good morning to our family and friends that are out there. And good morning to you, Calvin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well, Renee. Good morning to our awesome radio listeners out there. We missed you guys last Monday, but we're back now to give you everything that we always give you.
Okay. And that is
The news and talking about politics.
okay.
That's what we do. We talk about politics and we talk about things that interest our awesome radio listeners because we do have listeners all over the country and outside the country, Renee. And sometimes we forget that we have listeners outside of North Carolina, but we're going to give you information to help everyone, especially during this voting time. We always said, to vote, but we're going to tell you more about that as the show go on.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep saying vote, vote, vote. This is the most, I guess, critical time of the year where voting and people have shown how important voting is. And how they've done that is that they've done a lot of voting suppression to support, to suppress particularly the Black vote and the brown vote. They've done a lot of things in terms of intimidation. But it's important that you don't allow, because it is your right to vote, that you don't allow intimidation to put fear into you so that you don't vote. And I will say here, while we traveled, and welcome back, we traveled on a 9-day cruise, and early voting started while we were on the cruise. And we had a wonderful time, but we knew that the responsibility that we have at this time to give you information to make sure you know that you have to early vote if you can, because early voting can determine a race, and that that you need to encourage other people like this. Don't go to the poll by yourself. See who you can take to go with you, because maybe they need that encouragement, or maybe they think that their vote doesn't count. But we know better, because if your vote again didn't count, they wouldn't be trying to take it away from you. I will also, we like to talk about the COVID. For some reason, my computer is not working today, Calvin.
I know, so, you never know what's going to happen when you're doing a live show.
Yeah, so however, now that it's getting cold, and now that we're into fall, more people are going to be staying inside, and that means that the possibility of spreading COVID or even getting the flu. They're saying that the flu is up higher. People dying and becoming in contact with the flu is more prevalent now than the COVID. So people, they are encouraging us, the health people, to get your flu shot. I know, Calvin, you did say you were going to get yours.
Yes, I am. I'm going to get it as soon as I possibly can. I'm going to get either today or tomorrow, definitely.
Okay, and when you get protected, I get protected?
No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that. You got to protect yourself. I can protect you physically, in certain things, but not on a medical field. Medically, you got to get your own flu shot if you want to get protected by this flu. And you be talking jive, but you got to get that flu shot.
I don't know. We'll see. All I can say is that we will see what is going on. But again, I encourage everyone to get the flu. And we did get right before we traveled, we made sure we had the new vaccine for COVID, because we know going on to a ship with so many people from so many, places around the world, we don't know what they have. So, and we are doing good. And we're going to be taking another trip, which is a trip. But Calvin and I, we like to travel, and we encourage everyone. Like, we are living our retirement time to the max. And I just want to say that. But again, good morning to our listening audience. What you got going on over there?
Well, I'm trying to pull up I don't know, something happened with both of our computers today, but what we're trying to do is just give you some information, and information. But in the meantime, let's talk about Pelosi and her husband. That attack, this individual broke into their home, and wants to, and I'm telling you straight up, kill Pelosi, and he would have killed the husband too. Because if you hit somebody over the head with a hammer, you intend to kill them, not hurt them. And they cracked his skull, So this individual, this again goes all the way back to Trump, 45. It goes back to him because we know what Trump is all about, and he's about creating this havoc, with his cult, because that's what it is. It's a cult, and cult can do whatever the leader tell them to do, So what we're saying here now is, these individuals that's running for office, the candidates and people that's already in office, got to be very careful, and then the ones in line for president, we have to make sure that they are protected, Renee, wherever they go, and that their families should be protected. But most important too, Renee, look at Benny, on the head of the January 6th committee. He's been threatened, and his family is being threatened. And so we got to be very careful about the people and make sure that when we go out, when I say we, I'm not talking about you and I, but because you are protected, you good to go, and like we're good to go when we go out. You never know. But we've taken certain classes. I'm not going to get into all the classes we've taken, but we've taken classes that will protect us. So anyway, but the individual candidates and the individuals that's running for office, ones already running for office, Renee, especially like I said before, I'm repeat myself a little bit because I want people to get this. The ones that are in line for president, and that goes all the way down to Pelosi. Well, she is being threatened. Look at when the insurrection. What was they yelling? Where is Pelosi? Where is Pelosi? They want to take her out, But we got to just make sure that the right individuals are protecting these people. And on top of that, Pence, we don't hear that much from him, but they were trying to get to Pence too.
Yeah, well, that we know, and the thing is that the former president Trump, he is at the soul of this whole hatred that he's pumped up. It's not to say that it wasn't there, because we know that the white supremacists, they've been going after us Black folks for a long time. I mean, from hanging us, whipping us. And one of the things that you see right here when you're living in North Carolina, in the part that we live in, the East North Carolina, you see the fields. You see the cotton fields. You see the soy fields. You see the corn fields. And I always have a flashback to say, if I was back in the day and I was a slave, I probably wouldn't be alive because they would have killed me, because number one, I am not a cotton picker, and or tobacco.
Yeah, but let's back up, Renee. Let's back up, because I have to take this here side. A lot of us had to do that to survive. I'm not talking about when we were slaves now. I'm talking about once we became free people. We had to do that to survive, because there was a lot of sharecroppers. We didn't get that 40 acres and a mule like they promised us. We were there and we had to work the fields, to make sure that we were able to feed our family. And then the masters had the house that they let us stay in. And, that's the way it was back then. And we had to work. But the thing is, we never got ahead, because at the end of the year, when they were supposed to divide the profits, we was always in the hole. So that's the way that is, Renee. I got to go back to that, because I understand what you're saying, because see, you were from the north, you were born and bred New Yorker, and the thing is, Southerners, a lot of us still to this day, this is one of the things I always say, Renee. We all live on a plantation, but we don't have to have slave mentality. And so many of us still have that today, and look at what's going on right there in Georgia. That's a prime example.
Well, all I can do again is just encourage. This is the most critical time, and everybody's vote is going to count. However, we do know that the current president, he needs to have a good support team. He needs to have people who believe in what it is that he's doing. And by us going out and voting the right people in, the whole thing that for like the gun reform, what is on the ballot? If you think about it, our democracy is on the ballot, because if we don't win, okay, meaning the more sensible voters belonging to the more sensible, and even if you don't belong, it doesn't mean that you can't vote sensibly. And the whole thing is that people are trying to get control where they can tell you exactly how you can't not get rid of a baby, or you can't use contraceptives. They want to ban contraceptives. So that means that should you be married and you get pregnant, then you're going to, whether you want the baby or not, you're going to have the baby. They are putting so many things in place to restrict your life. And if you believe that restriction is something that you can live with, well, then fine, then don't vote. Don't encourage people to vote. But I'm saying there's so many things that are on this ballot that can make a big difference in your life.
But I just want to comment on that topic you're talking about now, because I think it's so important. The GOP, the governors are mandating pregnancies. Now let's think about that. They're mandating that a woman or a child that get pregnant, have this baby. Now, what happens when the baby is born? Are they going to help that child or that family support this child? I can answer that for you. No. So that's the thing. They're talking about, the death, the baby is being killed. But if they were so involved, and believed in the death not having to kill a baby, well, what about not killing individuals when they commit certain crimes? Are putting us in jail forever and ever. So it's all a political plot, to keep us, And I'm saying, I'm getting off topic a little bit, Renee, I know, but sometimes I just can't help myself, because we talking about, putting us, in jail for certain things and then giving us the death penalty, but yet they say that, well, you can't have an abortion. I don't understand that one. Maybe somebody can give us a call at 252-756-2008 and explain that, or give us another topic that you might want to talk about.
But again, democracy. Freedom is not always free. And the fact is that when you have certain rights and you're living with certain rights, and then you see slowly but surely they're being taken away, like they don't care. You have to understand that they want to roll back paying $35 a month for insulin. So are you going to vote somebody in or has already expressed that they don't want, they want those high charges back on insulin? There's people who are actually supporting people who are insulin dependent, and the drug companies that are funneling money into these races, that dark black money that is going into these races, they are the ones that are saying no. We don't want that. The drug company gives us money so that we can now erase this bill that has been passed. They also want to get rid of Social Security. Now, all our lives, we have paid into Social Security. Why would we want to see Social Security disappear? If you have a child and you die and the child is under 18, they get money because you paid into that system. So they get money, and now they want to take away Social Security and Medicare.
But not only that, Renee, but they also want to privatize Social Security. Can you imagine that being privatized? You know, what a fiasco that would be. You know, we need to keep that just as it is. And they always talk about socialism. You know, we're talking about Biden, you know, want to be a socialist president. Well, when you think about it, you know, Social Security, these are socialist government programs that benefit us once we retire. And we need to make sure that we keep that. And in order to keep that, you have to vote the right person in that want to keep it, not someone that want to privatize it.
And they're also looking, and they have begun with this Medicare Advantage. Any Medicare Advantage is privately, it's privately owned. So once you get locked into Medicare Advantage and not just straight regular Medicare, what they're finding that they're doing is that they're telling you, well, I'm not going to pay for this type of treatment. I'm not supporting certain aspects that are being supported by the regular Medicare. And if you're not educated and you don't know, you can get tricked into this Medicare Advantage plan that is doing more harm than good.
Well, you know, and you're right, Renee. Look at the commercial with J.J. Walker, you know, and this Jets quarterback, I won't even call his name, you know, they're getting paid for these commercials big time. But yet, when you get this Medicare Advantage, well, what's going to happen is you're going to see, because we know people right now that got it and trying to get out of it, and they can't get out of it. They got to wait a whole year before they can get out of it.
And it doesn't necessarily get you back on the regular Medicare, and the penalties sometimes that is associated when trying to get back onto Medicare.
That is so true. We know about the penalties, but that's another story. You know, I'm not going to get personal. Renee, she gets personal sometimes. I don't do that. Okay, but the thing is, you know, we want you to understand that you have to make sure that you vote. You know, and take someone with you. But now I'm gonna get a little personal. Okay, I say I don't, but I am a little bit, because this is not really personal. But we go vote as a family. When I say a family, we take our son, we take our daughter-in-law, and now we have an 18-year-old grandson. 19. He just turned 19, right? We take him to vote. We took him last year for the first time, and then we have a 23-year-old that we take to vote. These individuals, we make sure that they vote. So if you know someone, you have a relative, you know, and they don't drive, make sure that you take them along with you to vote. It's just so important that we get these people to vote. And you also got to be careful too, because the signs that you see out there, you know, you got to be careful with those, because a lot of times you have people, I'll give you an example. You have Republicans that put out blue signs, and you think that they are now Republicans, so I'm a Democrat, so I'm gonna vote for them. Look them up, see what they're talking about, check their report card if they are incumbent, if they're not incumbent, check them out. Make sure that these are someone that you want to vote for or not vote for.
Okay, so again, we're talking about voting today because voting is so important. And next week, Monday, is going to be November the 11th. And then the next day is Tuesday, November the 12th, and that's Election Day.
No, Election Day is the 8th.
Oh, the 8th.
November the 8th. Let's get these dates correct, Renee.
I'm sorry.
Next Monday will be November the 7th.
Okay.
Okay. Then Tuesday will be November the 8th. Those are the election. That's the election. Now, the 5th, correct me now, I think November the 5th is the last day for early voting.
Yes.
So we got to make sure that we get all this information out there. So, okay, so you want to go through this now, or you want to talk about it a little later?
I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay, so just want to let you know that Awesome Radio is very committed to their community. And what they're going to be doing is on November the 11th, that's a Friday, that's where I got that date from. They're having a fish fry free to all veterans from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be drive-through, safe and social distancing, and stay in your vehicle. And the address for Awesome Radio, if you're going to come by and get your fish and your a veteran, 2531.
CT Cleaning Service, 919-345-5823. Nationally certified and marketed for COVID clean.
We'll finish up on that, come back on that.
For all general cleaning. CT Cleaning Service, 919-345-5823. Have a peace of mind that your place of worship, your office building, your home, and your place of work have been nationally certified COVID cleaned, disinfected, and sanitized. 919-345 fully certified COVID cleaned, disinfected, and
Hi, this is Amanda. I listen to Awesome Radio 106.9 FM.
And welcome back to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM WBIS. And should you choose to join the conversation, our telephone number is 252-756-2008. And Calvin, right before the break, we were talking about how Awesome Radio has been having every year the fish fry for the veterans. And all you have to do is get in your car and drive up, and we will be giving out dinners, and also they will be checking IDs for veterans to make sure that you are a veteran. So again, please come by on all veterans on November the 11th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to get that good fried fish.
And it is some good fried fish, I can tell you. They got the right people frying this fish. It is just so good because we hit it last year, and I'm telling you, it was fantastic. But again, for our veterans, make sure that you bring your VAID, your veterans ID, so you can get this fried fish. It is awesome. It is off the wall.
Yeah, so Calvin, I want to get back to what's on the ballot. Democracy is on the ballot. Freedom is not free. Racial justice is on the ballot. Public safety is on the ballot. Public education is on the ballot. Gun safety is on the ballot. LGBTQ plus rights are on the ballot. Healthcare is on the ballot. And you could possibly live in a bubble, but it's important that you start to pay attention. What you need to do is make sure, if you haven't voted already, because again, early voting can determine a race. And you need to make sure that you have a plan. And the plan should be that exactly, you've done the research and you know exactly who you're going to be voting for. And that's something that we always do. We already have our ballot, and we already know who we're going to be voting for. This is what a sample ballot looks like. And this is what you can take it into your voting site. And if you haven't voted already, this is what a voter registration looks like. So if you're not registered, when you get to the early voting polling site, you can then request to, number one, register to vote, and then number two, go and vote. Not registered, now is your opportunity. And we are just saying, you have no idea. And if you just look at a little TV, they're attacking people, going after people. They attacked Nancy Pelosi. They attacked her husband. They're constantly threatening her. And there's going to be a lot of intimidation at the voting sites. They've already showed you that there are some places that people are masking up and they're standing with guns at the drop-off centers for the mail-in ballots. You cannot allow people, you can't allow them to intimidate you, because voting is your right. As long as you are 18 and you have voted and you're registered, that is your right to do.
We talk about voting and we talk about your rights. because we want you to understand how important it is to vote. You know, I know individuals that have been hurt because they wanted to vote. And so we want you to just make sure that you vote. Individuals can win a contest, they can win an election by one vote. So just think about that. If you don't get out there and vote for the people that you want to win, then you have no say if they lose. If they lose because you didn't vote, well, I don't want to hear a word from you because you should have gotten out there and vote. And if you need a ride, I'm sure you know someone that will get out there. And I remember one time, Renee, I was working in the polls, and this woman, 96 years old, had walked in. She walked from home to get to the polls to vote. And she needed help, and we helped her. So that's how important it is for individuals, because she knew what it was like when she couldn't vote. And now that she can vote, she did everything she could to make sure that she was there at the polls to vote. It's just so important that this voting, process, we got to get it done.
And we have to remember that there were 147 House of Representatives belonging to the Republican Party that did not support. They did not support certifying the election. And so you have to remember, these same individuals are voting to say to take away Medicare and Social Security. These same individuals, I mean, and some of them, like particularly for our state, locally here, they are doctors. And some people will vote because maybe this doctor had operated on them, so they feel that there's a loyalty. But it goes beyond that because, number one, they're no longer acting like a doctor. They're no longer paying special interest to people because they're not voting for things that could make your life better or even supportive. We cannot put back that these same people on January 6, 2020, they did the insurrection. They attacked the Capitol. These people are now in the power, in the position where they can make decisions. They write bills that go against the betterment of all people. And that's why they were there, not just to now start to support Trump and the MAGAs and the hostility and the aggression that they're showing on people. And so we have to remember that just because they have a doctor in front of their name, it does not mean that they're working for the betterment of all people. They are no longer practicing, or maybe they practice, I wouldn't, but they're practicing right now a lot of evil and doing things that will not benefit, again, the country.
And there's so many election deniers, Renee, that are now running for offices. And so many of them, the people they're running against, it's like they're tied, and percentage-wise, the polls. But on a personal note, I don't believe these polls, because if you go back to the polls, Clinton, she would have been the president if you go back to these polls. But that's why I don't go by these polls, but a lot of people do. I'm not going to take that from them. That's just my opinion, because I just go by what I see and what I read and what I look up on these people that I want to vote for. If I vote for someone and they don't do what they're supposed to do or say what they say they're going to do, well, the next time, during the primary, I vote for someone else. That's just the way I vote, because you want to make sure that when individual, they're knocking on your door, telling you they're going to do this and do that. Then when they get in office, they don't do it. Well, that's another whole ball game, in my opinion. You got to make sure that individuals that's incumbents do what. Now, everybody can't do exactly what they say they're going to do, because once they get in office, they got to deal with different politicians. I understand that.
But what we do know is that if a person is in office and they're seeking to be reelected, that's called an incumbent. An incumbent, they are there for at least 2 years. And what they have is a voting history. And it's anything, and this is what I do. If I have an incumbent and they're now showing me another platform, or they're saying, well, listen, I'm here because I want for you to vote for me again. Well, I'm now going to look and pull their voting history. These are things that this is public information that you will not have a problem retrieving. And then what I do also is I want to know who they're getting their funding from. Because if they're getting their funding from a drug company, if they're getting their funding from a gun manufacturing company, are those the people that I want to put my life in their hands? Because technically that's what you're doing. When you vote or don't vote, you are putting your life in the hands of those who get elected. And elected officials, and they have shown us, they are speaking it out with their mouth, that this is the plan that I have for you. And I always say, and I talk about people, we Black folks, we are so resilient. We have managed to get to where we are today because we don't give up. And we are strong people because of what we've had to go through. Even in my lifetime, I've had to go through some serious things. So we're coming up for another break. We'll be right back after this break to continue.
President of the National Association of the Black Press in America. I was born and raised in North Carolina and saw the gains we made in 2020. But I know we got unfinished business.
You want me to talk?
No.
Okay, I will talk anymore.
That's what I'm saying. You're very talkative today.
I'm trying to support you. Your computer is down. I'm trying to support you.
I'll let you do it. Yeah.
Okay, because we have to give the address up.
All right. I thought I did. Good morning and welcome back to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM WBISLP. And this is like our last segment. So if you choose to join the conversation, our telephone number is 252-756-2008. And we have our number one veteran here that really takes, he has a monthly show that Veterans Care Matter, and I'm talking about Calvin Boston Hill. Why don't you read about what we're going to be doing for the veterans?
Very good, and I'm glad you put that on me because I love talking about our veterans, you know, and I love talking about Awesome Radio because Awesome Radio, you know, really looks out for our veterans. Now, there's a Fish Fry Friday, November the 11th, free to all veterans. And not only that, but you have to have ID. Your ID is going to be checked. Okay, so bring your VA ID or your veterans ID, you know. And now the address is 2531 South Memorial. That's right on the corner of Alton Boulevard. You can't miss it. You'll see signs. We have signs all over the place, you know. And you know, if you want to call in to find out more information, the number is 252-756-3137. I'm going to repeat that phone number again. It's 252-756-3137. Again, the address is 2531 South Memorial Drive. We want you to come and get some fish fry. You know, the fish fry is all right. It's great. And I love the fish fry.
Okay, and it's going to be a drive-through. It's going to be safe and social distancing where you stay in your vehicle and they will bring the fish to you. Now, again, we're going to go back to voting. Okay, preparing yourself. Understand that people who are seeking re-election, they are the people who supported the insurrection, saying that when police got murdered or when they got beat up, when they got damaged and they're still suffering, they're saying, oh, that was just a little social thing. They're not looking at it as a riot. They're not looking at it as an insurrection. They want to call it all different kinds of names. And again, they're under the leadership of MAGA. They're under the leadership of Trump. They're under the leadership where they think that it's okay that Nancy Pelosi's husband had to have brain surgery because someone broke into their home. And these are people now who not only have they drank the Kool-Aid, but they become obsessed with the anger that Trump is putting on them. And the other part of it is that, Calvin, this is something that I think is key, is that, again, I'm talking and speaking about how Black people, even brown people, are very resilient. We've been attacked in so many ways. And what they don't understand is that when they put Trump back in place or back with power, where he can do things, they have to understand that he is only about the money. And if you're one of those white folks that are out there making that 725, or that you're just living from check to check, and that you are not finding that you're able to get it, he's not even going to pay attention to y'all. He is not about poor people. He is not about people who cannot elevate him. He's only about using you to vote for him so that when he gets back in, or when his Kool-Aid drinking MAGA people, they get reelected and they start to understand that this is what you're going to be his puppet. He's going to say, listen, this is what I need for you to vote for. This is what I need for you to put in place. And he's going to make sure that they erase democracy, where we have free elections, where we can go into the ballot and vote. Okay, and if they don't like it, they're putting people in these elected positions. Okay, sorry, we have a call coming in. News and politics today. You have a comment? Hello, do you have a comment? Okay. All right, so he's putting people in place so that, just like how he was trying to overturn the election, he did not want to have the elected President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris. He did not want that to happen. So he wanted to have, and he personally called different states to make them change the voting. And if the right people are in place, then if they don't like the election, they will change it. Okay, they will put these people in place that they know they can manipulate and can maneuver them to do things that are not going to necessarily be in our favor. So again, most of the Republicans did not vote to certify the elections. Most of those Republicans who did not vote to certify the elections supported the insurrection. They were even telephoning to each other. And the scariest part is that we have Secret Service people who erased, because now the January 6th committee wanted to have their records, they erased their phones. They deleted all the messages and the texting that they were doing back and forth. That's our Secret Service. That's our FBI. That's our police department. They have now managed, that's our military. They have now managed to infiltrate all of these systems so that the more that they go into them, the larger their group becomes, the more deadly that it can become for us.
Well, that is so important. That information you just gave out, Renee, is very important. But again, I'm just going to go back to voting. We need to make sure that we vote. Now, I see people from New York, they're writing on our Facebook page, but I asked them to give us a call. Give us a call right here, 252-756-2008, and talk to us on the phone. Nobody can see you. It'd be just like talk to us in person. So give us a call. We see your comments and we appreciate your comments. We have faithful individuals that tune in every Monday to listen to us and watch us, and we appreciate it,
Did you know, Calvin, that early voting started Saturday in New York?
Yes, I did, which very good, because the early voting, it makes a big difference up in New York, because when they had just a 1 day of voting, there were lines and lines, and especially for the elderly people. They didn't do anything special for the elderly or the handicapped people. But now with the early voting, Renee, it makes a big difference, because now those individuals can get out there and vote and don't have to worry about standing in the lines or if it's snowing or if it's raining, because we get some serious weather up in New York in November.
And the whole thing also, and why we say it's important to vote, is that we make sure that, again, I can't tell you who's going to be on your ballot, but I can tell you what I have, and that's my sample ballot. And I can tell you that I am going to do my homework so that I know that the person who I am voting for, because this right there, you have people who did not support, they did not support the certification of the election. Why would I want to put that person back, give him back the power, or give them back the power to vote again? And all I do know that the democracy is on the ballot. Gun reform is on the ballot. Police reform. If we had the right people to support what the President Biden was trying to do, we would have had police reform that would make a difference, and that was part of the George Floyd bill. Voting reform. They were so happy and so supportive of John Lewis, and when the bill came on the floor, they could not get enough votes to support voting reform. Dark money, Bill HR 1. Dark money is that money that is funneling in to these different candidates so that they can get them to, number one, take away the $35 cap on insulin. They can take away the democracy with healthcare, with Medicare. We don't have the Medicaid expansion here in North Carolina, and they will roll that back where in the states that did take it, they can take it away. Don't think that freedom is free. Voter suppression, reproductive freedom. You have a right now, and in a lot of states, they're taking that right away to say, well, listen, I want to use contraceptives. I want to determine when I can start my family, because I need to make sure that I have things in place, because when I have a baby, I have no support. They don't want to give food stamps. They don't want to do WIC. They don't want to do health care. I know how that is to have a baby and not have decent health care. And that's something that maternally, if you are a woman and you're in the childbearing age, particularly if you're Black, you know that more Black women die in childbirth, after childbirth, because they don't have the proper health insurance to get a doctor that's going to follow them and make sure that they can bring not only a healthy baby, but a baby that will live and be able to be taken care of because they have the proper medical health.
Well, I'm going to go with the general election, Renee. Okay.
And just remind people that it's for Pitt County.
Yes.
And it's not for all of North Carolina, because you have to go to your county and get that information.
Yeah, this is for Pitt County, the 2022 general election, one-stop early voting. The hours of operation is October the 20th through November the 4th, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And that's good for the individuals that's working until 5 or 6 o'clock. They can get out there and vote. And October the 29th and November the 5th, which is a Saturday, the hours are 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. That means that on a Saturday, if you're not working on Saturday, that you can get out and go vote on November the 5th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And these are the places you can go for the one-stop early voting. Pitt County Agricultural Center, and that's on 403 Government Circle. You got the county office complex, that's at 1717 West 5th Street. You got the ECU Student Center, meeting room 125, and that's right there at 501 East 10th Street. Then we have the Center of Alice King Park, the conference room, that's at 4561 County Home Road. And then we have the Winterville Fire Station, the community room, that's at 2593 Railroad Street in Winterville. These are the places you can go vote now. But also, Renee, same day registration, you need certain proof of residence, and individuals not registered to vote in a county may register on the same day. But these are some of the things that you're going to need to take with you in order to do that. A North Carolina driver license or identification card, a photo ID from a government agency. You know, these are some major things. You know, utility bill, including mobile service provider, private bank statement. You might not want to take your bank statement, but those are some of the things. Your property tax statement, vehicle registration issued by a government agency, government check. You know, these are so many different things that you need to take with you so that you are eligible to vote. But the main thing I'm saying, if you have a driver's license or a ID card from the state of North Carolina, those are the best things to take.
All righty, so again, this is what a standard voter registration form looks like, and you can get these in advance. Just know that on November the 5th, registration voting will be over November the 5th. And this Saturday here, again in Pitt County, is from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we want to make sure that if you have not voted, you have up until this Saturday to do it. Early voting is going on all over, and early voting can determine a race. And we want to make sure that you vote and don't go voting alone, and know who you're voting for. Don't vote based on name recognition. Vote because you've done some research and you actually know why you're voting for this individual. And we have some good people who are running. And we also know that there are some people who are MAGA supported, insurrectionist supporters. They are the people who in 2020, January the 6th, which I will not forget that day because I was in awe when I saw what they were doing to the Capitol. And these are the people now who the election deniers, they are running, and we need to make sure that we have good people that's going to be representative and support the current president who's putting bills and things in place. But some of these bills, and you're going to say, well, I wanted to have gun reform. Why are they letting people go and shoot up all these people and kids and teachers in schools? That's because we need to have some stronger gun bills. We need to make sure that a woman's right to choose how she wants to live her body, not with people making a decision or determination who aren't even have a medical background. You have people sitting in chambers that don't have a medical background, and they are determining, old men determining what a woman can do with her body. And that's like bringing us back so many years, Calvin, that we are now thinking that we're moving ahead and we're advancing a lot of things, but now they want to bring us back so that the things that we thought we had, we no longer have. And we need to make sure that bills are passed so we know exactly where a candidate is getting their money.
Candidates are getting their money. Yeah, and you know, one of the things that I'm saying is that we need to make sure that wherever they're getting their money from, we need to find out about that, because they're going to follow what those people want them to do. You know, if someone gives you $1 million, you're going to do most likely what that individual want you to do when you get in office. That's just the way it is. They're not going to give you $1 million for nothing. They want something in return. So, but that's just the way it is, Renee. And we want to say, you know, get out there and vote.
And the thing also is that we know that the Supreme Court, they're getting ready to make a decision on affirmative action. And, you know, never mind why affirmative action was put in place. It was put in place because they wanted to make sure that everybody had an equal chance. And also on the ballot, and this is why you need to get your ballot before I look at it, are judges. Now, we already know that the judges that Trump put there in place, they were the ones that did away with Roe v. Wade. We know that judges, we need to make sure that our courts are filled with fair judges that don't take things personally, but take things for the betterment or make decisions for the betterment of people. And that's why it's important that you don't skip over judges, that you look at them, you do your homework, and make sure that the judges that are asking for your vote that you see what they've done. Or everybody's life is public. Everybody's voting history or how they determine cases is history. It's on the internet. You just have to Google and you'll be able to see. Well, this particular judge, when you look at it, he put so many people in jail. They did not, they didn't, and there's so many black people. That's why it's important that we look at these judges. There's so many black people that are in prison and they are innocent. So we need to make sure that we get the right judges in there. And again, democracy, racial justice, public safety, public education, gun safety, LGBTQ rights, healthcare. They're going to tell you that this is who you can marry, this is who you can fall in love with. There are so many things that these individuals that are on the ballot can make a difference in your life. You need to run to vote. You don't need to walk. You need to run. And not only do you want to run, have a race with somebody and run to the election or to the voting sites and cast your ballot, because life will be different if you don't. And I don't want to hear it afterwards, anybody complain when you did not participate by casting your vote. When they take away your food stamps, when they take away your WIC, when they take away what it's called, your money and your health care, it's because you can't say anything if you did not vote.
Well, you think about it, Renee. Like I said once before, they want to privatize Social Security. Can you imagine if they privatize Social Security? How it would affect individuals.
Well, how it would affect people, Calvin, is that if it's being privatized, they're going to take that money and they're going to give it to Wall Street or invest it. Okay, so